Hi, and welcome to Your Health in Your Hands. I'm Dr. David Ajibai with the Brain and Body Foundation, and today we're going to be talking about, well, I guess you would call it a morbid title, Why Blacks Die First. And yes, I know it's not the kind of topic that you want to listen to, but I really feel that this is something that we as Nigerians really should pay attention to. And we've talked about a few of these things in the past: cardiovascular disease, strokes, cancers, and things like that. But I want to try and bring it together again and bring it to your attention, because in the final analysis, it's what you know as an individual, it's how you can, is what you do that matters. Yes, the government has a part to play, and yes, your communities, and yes, there's the whole social environment thing that matters. But in the final analysis, it's what you do that counts. Not what your mother does, not what your doctor says you should do, not what the government says, not even what you pray about. It's what you do. And where blacks are concerned, and where Nigerians are concerned especially, you have more of a responsibility to take charge of your health. And unfortunately, for the most part, that responsibility is abdicated, so to speak. People just push it aside, and it's like, it's not my portion, or that's not going to happen to me. It can happen to the next person. And yes, it's good to be positive, and it's good to have faith. But more than that, you need to take charge of your health, and we can't overemphasize that. I can't stress it enough either. So let's really pay attention. So why do blacks die first? And again, this has been a question that's always been on my mind, because I worked in the U.S. for a while, and I've been in other countries, and it's like some of these conditions, especially in healthcare, black people just tend to have a higher rate of these things. Anywhere in the world, whether it's Australia, South Africa, UK, France, the U.S., you see that across the spectrum, whether it's the rich, the young, it seems as if the black people tend to have a higher susceptibility to certain conditions. And so the question had always been why. A lot of the answers had been given, well, always in the field of, well, blacks are generally poor, or blacks ignorance, or whatever. None of that seemed to carry any weight where I was concerned, because I saw rich people who are blacks, who are very educated and very exposed, succumbing to these conditions, as well as poor people. So we're just going to kind of look into some of these things, and again, focusing on Nigerians in particular, because, as you know, we are very, very, very special set of people in many regards, good as well as bad. Here are some of the conditions that we have found out are extra common more amongst black people. I'm not going to read them all out. You can see them on your screen. Hypertension, coronary heart disease, type 2 diabetes, cancers, especially colorectal, that's cancer of the colon, intestine, prostate cancer, cervical cancer, that's in women, prostate cancer in men, black men all over the world. Black men by far have the highest incidence. And of course, there's kidney disease, end-stage renal disease. By the way, kidney disease, the number one cause of kidney disease, the number one cause is hypertension. The number two cause of kidney disease is diabetes. And these are extremely high in Nigeria. Now, in addition, there's a particular tribe in Nigeria, a northern tribe in Nigeria, that is particularly prone to diabetes. But that's another story for another time. Multiple sclerosis, that's not common in Nigeria. Rheumatoid conditions, maybe not so much. Obesity is becoming a bigger and bigger problem, has always been, but it's becoming bigger and bigger. And of course, periodontal disease, which is disease of the gum and the teeth. I will talk about that a little bit more. Rickets and then osteomalacia basically means bone disease. Not as much as before anymore, but in general, we black people tend to have stronger bones. All right, let's say a little bit. Here's some quotes from statistics taken from the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control in the U.S. I'm going to give the general stats because research, they're better, the figures are more reliable, so to speak. We don't have as many clear figures in Nigeria as in the US. So we'll use that, and then we will see how we can apply that to Nigeria. Blacks develop high blood pressure. Think about this. Blacks develop high blood pressure in earlier in life and with much higher blood pressure levels than whites. So not just earlier, it happens at a higher level. So if the white person has 150 over 90, the black person is more likely to have about 160, 170 over 100 considering the same age, same sex and all those things. Nearly 42% of black men and more than 45% of black women aged 20 and older have high blood pressure. That's crazy, folks. That is crazy. Now, here's another thing. Strokes kill 4 times more 35 to 54-year-old black Americans than white Americans. 4 times more. And blacks have nearly twice the first-time stroke risk of whites. Nearly twice the first-time stroke risks of whites. And that calls to my attention a few incidences that happened recently. One, very popular TV producer, black man, suddenly died of a stroke. He was in ICU for a while, but then he succumbed. A little further away, Michael Johnson, the very popular athlete, he held the 200 and 400 meter records for a long time before Usain Bolt took over the 200 meter all-time record. Michael Johnson had a stroke at 51 years of age. Think about that. 51 years is past his prime, but this is a man who knows about health, probably more than anybody else. He knows how to take care of himself, and he probably was taking care of himself. Maybe he slept a little bit, but it's not likely you find a 51-year-old white person who has had the background and the exposure that Michael Johnson had succumbing to stroke. Usually it's really heavyweight, overweight people who are and not taking care of themselves. That wasn't Michael Johnson's case. So it is a problem. It is something that is beyond just socio-economical. It's something that is beyond just our lifestyles. It really has to do a lot with our genes and a few other factors. And so we're going to apply that to what we're doing, what we are exposed to in Nigeria. So in the next segment, we're going to be talking about, we're going to bring it close to home, why these statistics are so, and why blacks, especially Nigerians, die first. All right, welcome back to Your Health in Your Hands. We are talking about why blacks die first. Now, in the Ministry of Health here, the Nigerian Ministry of Health, there are, in the NCD, which is non-communicable disease unit, there are 4 main conditions we are primarily concerned with in Nigeria. 1, cancer, 2, diabetes, 3, cardiovascular disease, and 4, lung disease. There's also the 5th one, which of course is sickle cell disease, where we are number 1. But these 4 are the conditions that we are most likely concerned about. So why do blacks die first? Which in this segment, we're just going to exploit a little bit. 8 minutes is not a very long time to really go in, to dive in fully. But think about this. Nigerians have the worst lifespan, the shortest lifespan in Africa, not in the world, but in Africa. There are only 2 countries that beat us. Our lifespan is 54. I think 2 other countries have 53. But these are really poor countries compared to Nigeria. We shouldn't be anywhere close to them. So that's a problem. Now, again, we're thinking about those four diseases. So I said in the earlier segment that a lot of fingers are pointing to socioeconomic factors. But here's a quote from an employee of the FDA, a scientist, a doctor, and here's what she said. In sharp contrast to their white counterparts, blacks have a much higher incidence and mortality of certain types of aggressive cancers and autoimmune diseases, including diabetes. Now listen to this. That cannot be attributed entirely to socio-economic differences or disparities in healthcare. That cannot be attributed to socioeconomic differences or disparities in healthcare. I mean, she's acknowledging that those two factors may play a role, but they cannot be responsible for all of that. So, again, we can't exactly say this is what's happening in Nigeria, but we can simply extrapolate. It just makes sense, some things. And we've talked about some of these things before. So here are seven reasons, in my opinion, why blacks and Nigerians die first. Number one is diet. We've gone into some detail. So if you've missed it, you can go to the website, the NTA website, and you'll see that it's been archived there somewhere where we talked about nutrition and your health. Personal and environmental hygiene, that goes without saying. We've also talked about specific aspects of personal hygiene, like dental health. We know that the typical black person, the typical Nigerian person does not brush his or her teeth more than once a day, and it's usually in the morning. We've shown you that it's more important to brush your teeth at night, because that's when all the gunk and the stuff that you've been putting in your mouth all day from the food and everything else, and that festers, it decays, decomposes in your mouth. And if you don't take care of it before you go to bed, well, it can just cause a lot of problems. Bad breath is the least of your problems. It can cause, it's related to strokes, diabetes. Having bad dental hygiene is related to all those things, so it's serious. Your genes, we're thinking about the Nigerian gene now. So your genes are also important, because they are saying, well, it's just the economic aspect or the socio-economic aspects. There are some aspects in the way we metabolize certain foods, some areas in the way our metabolism works that makes us more prone to certain kinds of cancers and heart disease. Again, we've mentioned some of that in previous talks. The socio-cultural environment, this is a big one, because we are very communal. We live in communities. We're affected by our communities, probably more than most Western worlds, countries where everything is about the individual, thinking independently. But over here, we think more in terms of in groups and in societies, and we respect our elders, and all that is very important. But sometimes we may carry it to an extreme, and it definitely affects us adversely. Some typical things, obviously, is that I remember one preacher coming on stage in church one day, and he said, the grandmother raised him up, and she said, anybody that eats vegetables, that vegetables are for the goats and for the pigs and the sheep, that human beings should eat something else. Now think about that. When vegetables are probably your greatest asset, your greatest ally against disease and malfunction. Someone in villages, they are saying that you're not supposed to eat vegetables because that's for the pigs and for the goats. So those are socio-economic, cultural things that affect us. Of course, there are several other examples. Your mindsets, your beliefs related to your socio-cultural environments, but it goes beyond that. Your mindset at work, what you think about, how long you need to sit down for, how long you need to get up. And really, I would say also our activity levels, and probably that should be under maybe, I don't know, beliefs, mindsets. What do you believe? Do you believe that you should be working out on a daily basis? These are all very important things. Now, the healthcare system. I want to really stay with the healthcare system a little bit. So, physical environment. I'm going to just mention that physical environment. We are in a malaria-prone environment. Malaria still kills a lot of people around the world, and we're also exposed to a lot of other disease conditions like typhoid, pneumonia, and things that affect meningitis that affects our brain. These are all in greater abundance in the sub-Saharan Africa. Tropical diseases, you might have heard that term before. So these can also all play a role in reducing our lifespan, especially if we don't have access to health. So let's talk about healthcare a little bit. When it comes to healthcare, in recent past in Nigeria here, we've seen a lot of exodus of medical practitioners, doctors, nurses looking for greener pastures. And now the main place now is Australia. Everybody wants to go to Australia. This is leaving a huge gap in the healthcare system where people don't have anywhere to go. Even if there's a hospital, the doctor who is going to be supposed to take care of their health probably has left. So, and of course, that affects the remote areas a lot more than the urban areas themselves. And I don't have to talk about this much, but you can see how this can be a problem. I think about brain conditions, for instance. In the Western world, the U.S., for instance, you have one neurologist or neurosurgeon to about 20,000 patients. In Nigeria and other African countries, it's like 1 to over 1 million patients. So think about this. You're on the highway, you have an accident, you have a head injury, God forbid, and you're bleeding in your brain. Well, the chances are getting to a neurosurgeon slim to none. And so most likely you are going to eventually die from that. Not you, but there's a good chance that anyone who sustains a head injury would would not survive it. So the healthcare system, of course, is not just about having a doctor or a nurse on ground. It's about the whole thing, the diagnostic tools, being able to detect diseases earlier, being able to monitor diseases earlier. The faster you can diagnose the problem, the easier and the easier you can treat it, and the greater chance you have of surviving long term. If you can't diagnose things in time, which is a big problem where cancer is concerned, over 80% of all cancers in Nigeria are detected in stage 3 and 4. And by that time, there isn't too much you can do. So we're in pretty bad shape, which is why when we get to the next segment, we're going to be talking about what you can do. There are only two obstacles to health and according to the World Health Organization. And those two are ignorance and complacency. We have a lot of that in Nigeria, not just among the laity, but among the healthcare professionals as well. So without pointing any fingers, I'm just going to go ahead and just say a couple of things that the World Health Organization has said. They have identified 13 top risk factors in our modern society for dying young. Some of them apply to Nigeria, some do not. So I'm just going to highlight, it's on your screen now. So I'm just going to highlight the ones that really apply to Nigerians and then what we can do about it. Because in the final analysis, it's really what you can do as an individual that matters. And again, it's your responsibility. All right. So number one, this was a shocker to me, but over the years I've come to understand it. Sitting for long hours at work. They have found out that's a problem. A lot of us sit for too long. And we're going to show you a video probably in the days to come, in the weeks to come, where it says that sitting is a bad problem, is a bad thing. Loneliness or remaining unmarried. There's a huge amount of research now that's talking about tying close quality relationships between people and longevity. If you're always on your own, if you feel lonely and you don't have those connections, especially in your older years, it's going to affect you. They mentioned early retirement, prolonged air pollution. That's not as big a deal here. Well, maybe in Lagos it is. Taking afternoon naps, constant arguing. Again, there's that social factor. You living at peace and living in harmony with your loved ones, especially your loved ones, but also at work and even at play, it's that tension. Something begins to get rubbed on, something begins to get affected when you're always in tension, arguing, getting upset with people. It affects you physically, right down to your genes, your cells. Here's jump down for a little bit. Poor dental hygiene, not brushing your teeth regularly. I've mentioned it earlier, and I've mentioned it in earlier episodes as well. You cannot get past it. If there's one thing you want to take from this show, is that you need to brush your teeth twice a day, once in the morning, once at night. And to take it a step further, you need to floss your teeth regularly. That's pretty much every day, because there's a lot of gunk that sticks in between your teeth, and the way you get them out is really by flossing. The toothbrush just doesn't get there. Another one is, well, smoking and drinking. We need to watch that as well. But increasing patronage of processed meat products and sweet foods. We're not there yet. It's not a big a problem, but you understand what I'm saying. You need to watch it, especially when you pass the age of 40. 30 is like stability time. 40 is like when things really begin to go downhill. So your early to mid Early to mid 30s, you're stabilized, you're still healthy and strong. But 40s, that's when things seem to begin to fail. So let's leave you with a couple of things before you go. Um, the number one, you need to get up, you need to move. Sitting down for a long period of time, you need to get up after 45 minutes to an hour, stretch, walk around, go to the restroom. Do your routine checks, check your blood pressure, check your blood sugar on a regular basis. It's so important. We don't do that. We take it for granted, but it's so important. Once you've been diagnosed with hypertension, diabetes, or any other condition, take your prescribed medications. Don't leave it a chance. Don't play with it. Do what your doctor says you should do. Make sure you do that. But also, in addition to that, you need to take the right nutrients. I feel that Nigerians should be taking one kind of supplement or the other, especially an antioxidant, and especially something that enables them to produce more nitric oxide, which helps to expand, improve blood flow, because we have a problem there. Keep your teeth and gums healthy. Can't overemphasize that. And then number 6, seek meaningful relationships. Expand your social circles. Be friends. Be friendly. All these will all work together. All these will work together to help you live a healthy life. Share these questions, share these points with your kids, your families, your friends, and all those things. They all come together, and they are really, really helpful. Remember, your health is in your hands. We at the Brain and Body Foundation, we're constantly looking for good information to share with you. And also, as you've seen from the earlier video, we also provide free care for children who have certain conditions, especially brain conditions and sickle cell disease. So be sure, I think we have a clinic every Friday. So be sure to look out. We are here for you. So stay tuned and join us next week. Remember again, your health is in your hands. God bless.
His name is Yusuf Balogun. Yusuf Balogun seems very, very happy. Yusuf is about 9 years of age. Yusuf has HBSS patient. He's already on hydroxyurea, bico, paludrin, and folic acid. Still complains about pains, right? Where touch the pains are?
My leg, my stomach, my head,
your head,
this.
your face. That's everywhere now. Your chest will go. Finish. Are you sure? Okay, is that it?
Yes.
All right. No stomach pain? You say your stomach or any chest pain? Any problems breathing? There's no problems breathing? No. Okay. All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Okay. We'll give them some immune support, and we will move on and see them in a month's time. Yes? All right. Thank you.
My name is Sulia Balogun. The name of my son is Yusuf Balogun. He's 8 years plus. Ever since we've been coming, before we came here, he had crisis on his leg and his stomach. Before, he's very forgetful. Whatever we've been taking this brain and body information, he has really improved on the academical aspects. He has really improved on it. Even the stomach pain I was complaining before, that stopped. The leg crisis before that stopped. So I really appreciate the brain aspect as well. Because it's very forgetful. It's now it's kind of improving the academic aspects. So I really appreciate Brain and Body Foundation. God bless you.
Imagine a station where you access information. Think of a station that creates awareness for national development. Imagine a station that prepares you for a bright and greater future. A station for all ages. documentaries, classroom and television, event coverage, children's programs, and variety shows. Always stay tuned to NTA Knowledge on the StarTimes platform, channel 359. For partnership, sponsorship, and advert placements, contact us on NTA Knowledge. NTA Knowledge, learning to broaden horizon.
Today's growing trend is the beard. This facial hairstyle is common amongst the youth and the middle age all over the world. What is fashionable about the beard?
It's just a personal thing. As you grow up, continue to find those things that make you look the way you want. Maybe you're copying somebody's your role model, you just want to be like them. It's just a personal thing. And I'm somebody who don't like shaving. I don't like going to the barbing salon always. So this is the easier way I can stay out going to the barbing salon.
I just woke up one day, just changed my attitude of keeping beards, and I love it.
From the start, I come from who keep beards, so I don't know. Since I'm a fashion designer, I don't have anything to do with fall, so I believe keeping beards is just a lifestyle. It's just a design. It's a thing I like.
Facial hair gives the men the opportunity to express their look